Hello, welcome to Your Next Best Life. I'm Sarah Razanzif, and today I'm going to talk about 3 limitations that hold us back and just give a few recommendations on how to overcome those limitations. So my first question to you is, do you have goals that you want to achieve and dreams? Do you set action steps and start forward and you're motivated and all of a sudden you just kind of draw back and you lose momentum for all forward progression? And maybe you don't even have any goals. Maybe you just feel like you're in limbo in life and nothing's really moving. So there might be some limitations holding you back, and I'm going to talk about 3 of those. The first thing you should know about limitations is they're really a form of self-sabotage. And one of the ways in which we limit ourselves is by believing labels that people have put on us through their words. I'm going to illustrate a story to you. I'm going to give you an example through a story, and it's from my past. The first thing I want you to know is that when I share a story from my past, it is not because I'm saying, oh, woe is me, and I want your sympathy. Not at all. You see, I've overcome the labels of the past because I'm a conqueror. And I believe that you are a conqueror too. So I'm just sharing this with you to illustrate my point. Believing labels that others have put on us through our words, through their words. So growing up, I don't think a week went by that my father didn't ask me if I was stupid or tell me I didn't have any common sense or ask me if I had any common sense. So by the time I was a teenager, 17, I really believed that I was stupid. And it took getting out of my parents' home, getting a job, moving out, and having new experiences and being around different people for me to really understand that I wasn't. For example, I started going to college and I had great grades. I mean, almost a 4.0 GPA, really. I was that good. So that was a little boost for self-esteem. And then another thing, working on a golf course. I used to work on a golf course. It's one of the first jobs I ever had. And I worked on a very prestigious golf course. Presidents of the United States have played there. And you didn't want to be a slacker, okay, when you worked there. You wanted to be on top of your game. You wanted to look nice, and you wanted to be a good employee. And you made some great tips, by the way. But anyway, my boss one day, the manager, he had me training somebody, and he told the woman before he left us alone, he told the girl, not a woman, she was a young lady, probably 17 years old. He told her, he said, if you have any problems, just ask Sarah. She has a lot of common sense. Now, I was like taken back by that. I really was. And I had to let it sink in for a little while. But experiences like that, helped to really get rid of that belief, that label that I was stupid. So by the time that I was 25, I realized that I was pretty smart, and I did have quite a lot of common sense. So how do you get over that? Well, number 1, you forgive them. As an adult, for example, I realized that my father, he did the best he knew how with what he had. And actually, he has a lot of great qualities about him. He's not a bad father. He has a lot of good qualities and characteristics about him, and I really love him very much. So, but when we come to a place of understanding that people are only doing the best they know how, it can allow us to take responsibility for how we allowed their limitations to shape our lives and release them from any further responsibility, which ultimately causes growth and maturity within ourselves and propels us to move forward. So that's first, forgive them. Number 2, stop spending time with people who see you as less than you are. For example, end toxic relationships. So forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to be a doormat and continue to let them beat on you. Remember that. Forgiveness does not mean you have to keep letting people do things to you that hurt you. 3, surround yourself with people who have your best interest in mind, value you, and build you up. And this is where a life coach can help, because they're trained to see beyond perceptions. They are trained to see opportunities that their clients don't necessarily see. Number 4, focus on reality, not perceptions. So going back to the story about growing up and believing I was stupid. I could have focused on the perception that was built up throughout my childhood that I developed from listening to negative words about myself. Instead, I began to look at reality, my grades, my work performance, other experiences, and that was able to help set me free from that label, from that limitation. Okay? Now, number 2, what's another limitation that can stop us? We give negative emotions power over us. So what do I mean? Have you ever had something happen, some injustice, something that just, it just made you fume. And next thing you know, you're saying, I'm so angry. Well, my friend, you have just classified yourself as an angry person. Now, I know this may be semantics, but just stick with me. And you might realize that there's a lot more to this, and it can be very powerful in our lives. So now that you've classified yourself as an angry person, what are you going to do about it? I'm not saying that anger is bad. Anger can definitely be a catalyst for change. But speaking that way about yourself can lead you to connect with an emotion in such a way that it becomes your identity and a label which puts us in a box. So if we don't end that self-identification with an emotion, we can begin to attract negative energy, and negative energy does not propel us forward in life. In fact, it can leave us in a hole that it's really hard to get out of. So how do you get over that? I recommend, instead of saying I am angry, say I feel angry. Now, I was talking to my husband about this, and he brought up the fact, Spanish is his first language, and he brought up the fact that in Spanish, you don't say I am angry. There's 2 ways to say I am, I guess, and I'm going to explain this as best as I can. I do have some Spanish, but anyway, so you say soy. You don't say soy brava. If that's the word for, I believe that's the word for angry. You don't say I am angry. You say estoy brava, which means I am in a state of anger. Now, in the English language, it can be difficult to say, because we're used to saying I am angry instead of saying I feel angry. But let me tell you, if you can just refocus your words, you might find that your life will start changing for the better, and you'll get rid of a limitation. Now, you might want to be an angry person, and by all means, go for it if that's what you want to be. But I would rather be a happy person attracting positive energy rather than an angry one attracting negative forces. How about you? If we realize that the anger is pointing at something that needs to change in our life, and if we do something about it instead of wallowing in it, then our lives are going to move forward in a positive direction. So that's number 2. Number 3, our past experiences set us up for personal bias. So imagine every time you set out to start a business and it fails. So you might have the mindset that every time that starting a business or trying to start a business, it just won't work because it's always failed in the past. So you have a personal bias. It's set you up to be limited. So when we think like this way, our thoughts, they become self-defeating and they limit us. So here's a quote I'd like to share. Henry Ford said it, and he said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time a little bit more intelligently." So how to get rid of this limitation? Number 1, view everything as a lesson from which you learn, evaluating your past for the sole purpose of drawing the best possible meaning from those experiences. 2, view your struggles, rejections, problems, challenges, failures as training ground that prepares you for whatever it is you're going to do in life and whoever it is that you want to become. 3, along the same lines above, evaluate and identify the cycles you have been repeating in life. When you have identified them, make a decision to end them, and life will change for the better. And I'm talking about negative cycles, those negative repeating patterns of self-sabotage that attract negative things. End those cycles. Stop them and make a new way. Make a new cycle. So these are just a few of the possible limiting factors that people could have working in their lives and preventing them from growth and forward progression. Some limitations are pretty evident, and some are actually hidden under layers that we aren't even aware of them. That's where life coaching comes in, to help uncover those layers so that you can recognize them, release yourself from them, and ultimately maximize your potential and create the life you want. And that's what I want for you. So if you listened this far, I want to thank you for listening. And I just want to say that I hope that this is the beginning of our relationship. And if you'd like to stay connected with me, send me a message on Messenger. Just tell me who you are, if you have any goals in mind, if you'd like a free consultation, and leave me your email. And I'll add you to my subscribers list and we'll stay connected, okay? So I just want to encourage you that today could be the start of your next best life. Have a great day. Bye-bye.